I'm very, very serious about this one. This is always a great time. Anytime the firm comes on, it's great. The Pam Thompson Smith, all of them.
They all in here. They all in here.
But this
we are here.
Yeah, this is a special time of the year, though. And I'm going to let Pam just tell you topic and what we're going to talk about today, because it's always a special time of the year to talk about it.
Yes, I'm excited. I am Pam Thompson Smith, better known as The Firm.
The Firm, that's
The
right.
Firm, and just excited to be here again, hosting the Community Impact segment today. We're close to kicking off the 40th anniversary of the MLK holiday celebrations in the Triangle.
Oh, wow.
40 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes, so it is my pleasure to bring in, I call him my boss man, but the man, Reverend Dr. Dumas A. Harshaw Jr. Yes, he is in the house with us today, pastor of First Baptist Church, but he's the chair of this amazing committee that puts on all of the events for the Triangle Martin Luther King holiday. So welcome to the show, Dr. Harshaw.
Well, thanks so much. It's an honor to be here again.
Glad to have you. Glad to have you again.
Real honor to have you here. Pam, before you move forward, gotta give people a snapshot of what is the MLK prayer breakfast and the inception of when it happened and where we are now.
Good. Well, you know what? I'm going to let Dr. Harshaw take that.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, we're talking about generally a 40-year history of gathering together and gathering the faith community together with an interfaith effort to represent some diversity, to honor the legacy of Dr. King, and also to continue in his tradition, making a difference in the world, making a difference in community, and really coming together as people to be about the common good. And so a faith element is important because it was important in his life. He was a preacher of the gospel. He was reared in the black church experience, and that really is what carried him through up until he was so tragically taken from us. And so we celebrate his legacy, but also come together in unity, and then lift up the importance of faith and love and hope.
Wow.
That's good. That's good. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about when we talk about the 40 years, but you've been doing it for probably 8 or 9 years as a committee, and why it was important. So why do we do this?
Yeah, right. Well, I've been a part of the effort since I arrived in Raleigh in 1996, working with Mr. Bruce Leitner. And, helping in those celebrations. And then when he retired, then we started the Triangle MLK linked to that in the same tradition. And now we count about 7 years that I have been chair. I've been honored to be the chair of the board of a fantastic group of people who really care about the sacrifice of Dr. King, but also care about what can we do to apply the message, the meaning, and the principles to our world in which we live now. We do this because it's vital. We do this because it's important. We do this because people are suffering. We do this because the nation is divided. We do this because people's livelihood are at stake, simply because of what's happening not only in the world, but in our nation today. And we want to encourage people to understand how revolutionary Dr. King was and how engaged he was, and not just talking, but also giving, but also calling into questions the systems that imprison people and also discriminate against people. And this is a perfect time. It was perfect in his time and for what they were doing then, and it's perfect in our time.
Awesome. Well, you're listening to Dr. Harshaw. He's the chair of the Triangle MLK Committee, and we are getting ready for the 40th anniversary celebration coming up this weekend. So every year we have a relevant theme. The theme this year is we must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope. Can you kind of expound on what that means? And that's the actual quote from Dr. Martin Luther King, and what that meant then and what that means to us as a nation, as a community now.
Yes. And what it meant to him was there are many struggles that your life is at stake, that you're fighting against forces that it seems like you can't overcome. And in the natural, you would simply give up or grow discouraged. And yet, because of our faith element and the faith in God, then we say, regardless of what the challenges are, we can beat this, we can overcome this. And so hope is important. It's important to wake up every day with the sense of something great's going to happen today. And whatever happened yesterday or last year or 10 years ago, I believe my life has a future and something wonderful wonderful was going to happen. And so he tried to instill that in the movement. Another reason why there was so much worship about the movement, and in all the demonstrations there was prayer. And while this was a method, it was far more than that. It was a faith statement saying that when we have a sense of belief that things can get better, then it gives us the power to keep fighting the good fight.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right. Well, we're back with Dr. Harshaw as we talk about the upcoming 40th anniversary of the MLK holiday celebration. So we're going to get into telling us a little bit about all the events that are going on.
Yeah. Well, we're so excited. We begin Friday, January the 17th. At 9 a.m. for the 40th annual Martin Luther King Jr. wreath laying ceremony at the Raleigh Memorial, Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial Gardens. And the speaker keynote this year is the Reverend Dr. James Forbes, Pastor Emeritus from the Riverside Church in New York City, and the Raleigh Interdenominational Minister Alliance is our sponsoring partner. And we're asking everyone present and those who will join us otherwise to simply take some time to pray on that day as we think about the sacrifice of Dr. King and what his life meant.
Yes, yes. We really want people to come out. Wreath laying is a great, great ceremony. It's only 30 minutes. Start at 9. We're done by 9:30. It's a really, really good event, and we all love the Reverend Dr. James Forbes.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. So tell us what goes on Monday.
Yeah, Monday is the good day, and the big day, and the long day.
Exactly.
But that is the holiday, and so we gather at 7:15 a.m. technically at the Sheraton Imperial Hotel, Research Triangle Park, for the Martin Luther King Triangle Interfaith Prayer Breakfast. And the keynote this year is Reverend Lisa Yaboa, pastor of the Southeast Raleigh Table in Raleigh. And the doors open at 5:45 a.m. and people are lining up.
I mean,
before
trust me, we was there last year, as we were this year doing our show, and people was there before we was there. I'm like, wow. Quick question, Dr. Harshaw, how you guys select your keynote speakers for that event?
Yeah, really a good question. We have a set of criteria, and mainly we look at people who have a message. And then we look at people who are engaged in acting out that message, but also people who really understand Dr. King's theology, philosophy, and the sacrifice. And then also we look intergenerationally, because we really look toward a younger generation to interpret Dr. King as well. Back in the day when we used to do it, mainly with the civil rights leaders who worked with Dr. King. A lot of the ministers and community leaders and political leaders. And now we wanted to build a bridge to this younger generation and make sure we hear their voices as they understand Dr. King, but use it as an opportunity to also educate and teach. And so we have youth and others. And so when I was in Southern California, in Los Angeles, I was chair of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference of the West and worked with an effort there. And so when I came here, I was already open to doing something in the Triangle about the life of Dr. Martin Luther King. But it really helps me to keep my focus in terms of what it means to serve others and what it means to sacrifice in order to be about a larger issue than just yourself, making money for yourself or whatever. And that's the thing I respected about Dr. King is he didn't have to die. He really, in a sense, he didn't choose to die either, but he chose issues that then threatened his life. And the systems in the world and systems in this nation. And when I see all those people gather together, my hope just grows to a whole nother level, that we really can do it. There really are good people who really want to make a difference and really want to serve humanity. And I want to be part of that movement.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for tuning into the Sports Shop. You're listening to Community Impact, and we're talking to Dr. Harshaw about the 40th anniversary of the MLK holiday celebrations. And also, one thing that we want to make sure that people know, that all events are free and open to the public. You know, even the breakfast. And you get a whole lot of food. A whole lot of food is free and open to the public. But we couldn't do that without some really amazing sponsors. So we want to make sure to highlight the presenting sponsor, Capital Broadcasting Company. Thank you for their service in this.
And by the way, people don't know that we're broadcasting from the studio.
That's right.
That's owned by Capital Broadcasting. You know that.
Thank you, Capital Broadcasting Company, for your support. And our legacy partners, the Triangle YMCA, Duke Energy, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of North Carolina, Fifth Third Bank, and United Way of the Greater Triangle. We couldn't do this without that support. Tell us what happens right after the breakfast.
Yeah, after the breakfast, then we go downtown and gather at the state capitol building on Edenton Street side, and the march. People begin gathering about 10 a.m. You have the Greek family who's there, people in the community. Some have left the breakfast and come, and then we make our way to the Duke Center, Energy Center for the Performing Arts, where at 12 o'clock noon we have this noon observance, and we're really excited about it. Keynote speaker, one of our board members, and one of the finest young men in the state, Jeremy Collins, Director of Engagement for North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. And he will be there to challenge us, and then we have kidpreneurs.
Yes.
So we have young people who are entrepreneurs who will be showcasing their products, and we're really excited about that. Again, the United Way of Greater Triangle is our sponsoring partner in this, and it's good to have young people in the house and to see their gifts and their talents. And then that evening we're going to gather together for 5:30 p.m. for the best musical in the state. Also, the 40th annual Martin Luther King Jr. Evening Musical Celebration.
Yes.
And we have a national recording artist, Isabel Davis, an amazing worshiper, and we have the MLK All Children's Choir. That's been around about 33 years, and they will be there to lift spirits and to tell the story as well.
Awesome. So that's a full day on Monday.
Plenty of stuff.
I have a question for Dr. Harshaw. Who is your planner?
The
firm. That's a lot going on, I tell you. But it is going to be an amazing holiday weekend of events, and we just believe that this promises to be even more epic than before.
Yes.
And so we're really excited.
Wow.
And guess who else is going to be there? The Sports Shop live on Monday. Yes.
We'll be there.
This is very important for us because I said this last year. I think the teachings of Dr. King is reflected the fact that we're here on this radio show, right? We're the only African American hosted sports talk radio show anywhere in the country during drive time.
Wow.
We're sitting here in the Capitol Broadcasting Building.
Right.
All right. So without a lot of his work and efforts, I truly believed that we wouldn't be here because of that. So we're very, very intentional and serious about hosting this prayer breakfast and supporting, of course, the committee and you, Pam, and the things you're doing. So that's why it's important. So last time people stopped by, and we're going to have a list of people that you're going to have an opportunity to hear, as well as if when you see us doing our show, just wave at us a lot of times. They're sitting there looking at us like, can we say something?
Hey, look, we don't bite.
That's right. We're real people, right? So just come out and go with us. So, but it's a tremendous opportunity for us, and just happy to be a part of it, seriously.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thank you so much.
Outstanding. Yeah. So thank you for all that you guys do. You guys do a wonderful job. It's our pleasure to be a part of it. So I can't wait. It's going to be exciting.
Now, if people want to know more about what's going on, how can they go and find information real quickly?
More information, they can go to www.trianglemlk.com.
Wow, man. That's
for all the details. Thank you to my boss man,
you're welcome. That's right.
Dr. Dumas A. Harshaw Jr. Thank you for all you do and for just the amazing service in the community.
We'll have more breaks. So I got Dr. Harshaw here. I got a couple questions for you, Dr. Harshaw. Totally unrelated to that. So you moved here from California?
Yeah, from Southern California.
Okay. So you said, Malcolm, were you ever interested in the Black Panther movement?
Oh, yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
As a matter of fact, in those days, I admired the Black Panther ethos, essence, everything they stood for against police brutality, organizing and protecting community. That's the original Black Panther Party.
Yes.
And the leaders sought to educate, and they had a children's breakfast program before they went to school that actually, when I became a pastor at Trinity Baptist Church in Los Angeles, I modeled that a breakfast program and a feeding program at the church based on the Black Panther effort, the original, again, Black Panther Party and all that they represented. But in those years I was searching and came up in a child of the civil rights movement and part of all the stuff the rumbles that were taking place across the country. And my models at one point were different, and then when I met Christ, he helped
We're
me.
different.
Hey, this how he fits that.
I like it.
We're different.
My models were a little different back in those days, just slightly.
Right. And as when Dr. King came in, I just respected his sacrifice, and he was a servant type, and had the honor of getting involved with many of the people who were contemporary with him. Met most of his family.
Oh, wow.
His father preached at my church, and Jesse Jackson had been there many times, and the whole many of the Atlanta leaders and people, Thomas Kilgore Jr., who knew Dr. King when he was a little boy, used to rock him on his knee.
Yeah.
And he was part of the one who organized the Montgomery bus boycott when all the money was coming in. He was handling that and working with the family at that time. But I was really blessed. But that whole ideology of servanthood really challenged me. And I think, and I know he told the truth about the nation, about the war in Vietnam.
Yeah.
So he was a prophet, and that was very attractive.
So I'm curious, having that backdrop and that equity that you was a part of back then. Fast forward to now and seeing what's going on in America, just relating it to, and is there any comparables?
Oh yeah, without a doubt. One thing I think many of us went to sleep thinking that the civil rights movement accomplished more than it actually did. It accomplished a whole lot. That's why we're here today.
Sure.
But at the same time, it didn't hardly do much about white supremacy and the depth and entrenchment of racism in North America. And the beauty of this time is to see that it's still alive and well.
Right.
It's saddening and disheartening to see what it's doing to us. The violence, the rhetoric, the division, this ridiculous stuff that's happening. But it then causes us to realize that the struggle's not over.
Right.
And that we have to cooperate with one another and be strong and understand there are certain values we have to give our lives to so that we can make a difference, but also to protect our children and their children.
Wow.
We're still in the midst of it. And I think his message, if you read the last book he wrote, Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community, it's really a blueprint for how we need to operate in the 21st century. And many people are linked to I Have a Dream, which is poetic.
Yes.
And it's beautiful.
Yes. Yeah.
But the real marching orders comes from his writings, his radio talks, and some of his sermons a lot of people aren't even aware of, that really presents the militant King and the revolutionary Dr. King.
Wow.
And then he lays out for us what we need to do in America to get justice for everybody, to deal with educational issues, medical issues, gender issues, and how to respect human personality. And I think that's what we really need to look to.
Wow.
This man,
I'm just trying
powerful.
So you're speaking too.
He will be presiding at the breakfast. Absolutely.
that was a key note right there.
But coming up in 2021, I heard y'all.
I'm trying to tell you.
That's it.
That the snippet right there said a lot. That really did.
But I do like the part about the things that you just mentioned, because a lot of people make the assumption, they look at you now and they just assume, he's always been this, he's always been that. But like you said, before I found, before I changed the way that I think,
I was born in the projects, on my way to jail, basically. I got kicked out of high school, was on probation. Trying to run that street life, and I was just entering it. Fortunately, because I've had many friends I lost in the process, but I didn't get a chance to mature in that. Thank God. I may have been either in prison or a cemetery. But so the Lord met me in that, and then gave me a challenge that I had never had before, because I was looking for life. And as I look back now at this age, I said I didn't realize how close to death I was. Playing with guns and drugs and all this other stuff.
And most of the time you don't.
All those things are death. I mean, you run around, trying to prove who you are and going to jail to get buffed, to come back to have a reputation in the community.
Like trying to be a hero.
Is death.
It is. Yeah, exactly.
So I commend you for being able to tell that story. I commend you for being able to share that story, because a lot of people need to hear that. A lot of people that probably think some people are lost, right? They didn't think a thing about them. It may give them an opportunity to say, well, maybe they're not lost, and maybe all we got to do is just put them in a position to turn it all around.
Yeah, don't write them off.
Have that conversation. Is there one point where you probably can pinpoint where you can go back to and say, at that moment, it all changed for me.
Yeah, right. I was pretty much, by then, the family, I was raised in the church. I wasn't interested in it at all. But there was a friend of mine who we're still friends today who had a conversion experience in his life. And he was, pretty much what they call a hoodlum, a thug, OG or whatever.
Yeah.
His brother was even worse than him. But all of a sudden, his life changed. And so I knew whatever it was, it was
saw
real.
it in him, yeah.
Yeah, because I had gone, to school with a lot of church kids, but what I saw in him was real. And so I think before I decided to go into the deep end, which I was, considering to really enter that life seriously. But then I thought about, because I was looking for something. I wanted more than death and all that nonsense. And then his life became a witness for me. And I knew that wherever he was, some real Christianity was taking place. But a group of Christians came to my high school, passed out some tracts. And when they left, they were all on the ground. Kids were laughing at the way they were dressed. But I took mine home, got down on my knees, and asked Christ to come into my heart. And everything changed. I actually graduated on time from high school. I had to go to night school because I'd been kicked out before, and there was no guarantee I was going. And the rest is history.
That's amazing story.
What a story!
I know. Well, Pam, thank you so much, and Dr. Harshaw, man. Talking about community impact. This is what I'm talking about.
Yes.
We're looking forward to Monday, man.
I did the script.
But you'll learn we don't do many scripts on this show.
We just go. But no,
honored to be here.
No, man, this has been great though. We're excited about being there on Monday. Again, you can go out and find. And she mentioned a really key word in her communication. All the events are free, so you have no excuse. You got to get there early though, because it's very well attended.
Absolutely.
All the events, and this is a time where, and you really, it's kind of like a revival in a sense, in a way. You know what I'm saying? So go and be revived. How about that?
That's right.
It's good for the soul.
That's right, man.